Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Friday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by Passant Motors, and that includes Marty Biron standing by. There are huge holiday savings at Passant Motors. No GST, no gas, no payments.
Oh.
Check out the great offers at Passant Motors, BASANT Motors.com. Roberto Luongo's name unveiled in the Canucks Ring of Honor last night. To talk about that and more, veteran of 15 NHL seasons, TSN analyst, Buffalo Sabres analyst for MSG, Marty Biron. Marty, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I hope you guys are doing well across the continent there, because your team is fun to watch.
What's your opinion of what the Canucks are up to this season? 4-0 over Florida last night.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I thought the Florida Panthers were going to give a little bit more, and you got gifted a nice Sergei Bobrovsky, Marty Biron type playing with the puck, right? So you're going to take that. But no, I'm very impressed. They can create offensively. They got the best goaltender in the league right now. They added a strong presence on the blue line. So yeah, they're not messing around, and I absolutely love coming home from, a Sabres work night, if they're playing on the East Coast, and then you turn on the late games and you got the Vancouver Canucks on there. I'm watching, that's for sure.
Marty, are you saying you gave the puck away in much the same fashion as Bobrovsky did last night? Did that ever happen to you at the NHL level?
It's happened a couple of times, but if you guys want to see one of my better moments in the NHL after giving the puck away, was against the Philadelphia Flyers years ago. I robbed Andy Delmore. I went to the corner to play the puck just to get bumped by John LeClair and all these big Flyers, right? And then the puck got back to the slot, and I raced back and dove with my stick out, and I made the save. So that's one of Rick Jennerett's great call here for me anyway, was, Biron robs Delmore blind, call a cop and the whole thing. So, yeah, but it started with me wandering outside my net and doing what I wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah, the late, great Rick Jennerett, and I see his banner is in behind you, Marty. Hey, There you go. Hey, Marty, I was looking at your Hockey DB page, and I realized that there are 2 years difference between you and Roberto Luongo, who gets honored last night at Rogers Arena. How much did you cross paths in your younger day in the great province of Quebec in minor hockey, junior hockey?
Well, I have a lot of stories because Roberto Luongo and I shared the same agent back in the days, Gilles Lupien, who's unfortunately passed away too young. But so we used to do goalie skates together in the summer with the great François Allaire, the goalie guru that did his mark with Patrick Roy in Montreal and with Jean-Sébastien Giguère in Anaheim. But Bobby Lou, as we used to call him, we knew him well. He used to come to my golf tournament. My brother and I hosted a golf tournament every summer in Quebec City. And really, Roberto knew my brother really well because of the Islanders days. And then, they kind of stayed in touch, and we had the same agent. So we always got together, either in the summertime when we played against one another. So we kept, in touch and kept track of each other's progress. And so I knew him. I've met Gina. I've met the family. So it's really cool to see, though, what the Vancouver Canucks did last night, just from little details, right? Like the C on the jersey, because Roberto was a captain for the Canucks. Now, I don't understand why they named him captain, and there's a reason why goalies are not captain, but still, he was a part of history in that way. So when the jersey had the C on the chest, I thought it was really cool. And the goalies doing the ceremonial first puck of the drop. I don't love it, but it looked good last night. Why? Because it's two of the best goalies in the league, and Bobrovsky and Thatcher Demko. So I thought they did a fantastic job, and I was glued in to the ceremony. And I think Roberto looks like he could still play, man. He's tall and slim, and he could still play.
Hey, Martin, you said Demko, in your eyes, best goalie in the league right now. What are you seeing? What do you like about him, and how did he get his game to the top?
Well, I mean, he had his game going towards the top 2 years ago. And then last year he dealt with injuries and it slowed him down. And we all know that there was a coaching change and the team underperformed. And defensively, they weren't great. I'm not saying that they're better defensively this year. They've made some adjustments and they score more goals. But I think Thatcher Demko, for me, number one, it's the size. Number two, it's the athletic nature of his game. We know that he's dealt with injuries, and that limits your natural abilities to do the splits or to use your core strength to be able to move into certain position. This year, he looks like he's 100% healthy and really looking like he's in full control of his body. But also, what I love about a goaltender, he's got a white butterfly, great reaction time. He doesn't chase the game. He plays inside the crease because of his size that allows him to do that. I've played with some goalies that like to chase the game, like Dominik Hasek would chase the game, but he was incredibly spectacular. Ryan Miller chased the game a little bit. You guys remember Ryan Miller in Vancouver, obviously, kind of a little bit more of a skating type of goaltender. But then I played with Henrik Lundqvist, who just sat back and let the game come to him, right? And Thatcher Demko, although much bigger than Lundqvist was, has some of that standing back and letting the game come to him ability. I think that that has been a fantastic start to the season, and I'm not saying I'm impressed because I knew he had it in him from watching his development, but when fully healthy, he's a sight to watch.
You work with the Buffalo Sabres broadcast. There's a kid there called Zach Benson from Chilliwack. It's just right here in Vancouver, and he's 18 years old still in Buffalo. What has impressed you about this kid the most, Marty?
His fight, his tenacity, his compete. Like in training camp, I look at Zach Benson on the ice and I said, who does he remind me of? And the only name that I could come up with, and maybe it's not flattering, but it's a guy that has won cups, has won MVPs, and it's Claude Lemieux. Because he, you know what? He'll take penalty. He'll be an agitator. He's so confident in himself. And I know, especially in Buffalo, the people that I was around with, when I said that, they're like, oh, no, not the little rat Claude Lemieux. And I'm like, well, you know what? I would love Zach Benson to have that impact, right? But he's been fantastic with the Sabres, plays top 6 minutes, and they can't move him out of the top 6 right now because he's performing. He seems to be growing in his confidence. His first NHL goal was one unbelievable sight with the move between the legs, obviously against the Washington Capitol and Darcy Kemper. So he's been fantastic. And it's funny you mentioned Chilliwack because I had no idea what Chilliwack was until about last year, because you guys have the BCHL team in Chilliwack and
the Chiefs.
There's a goal, the Chiefs, right? And there's a goalie from Buffalo who's my son's age that they always played together or against each other, who's playing there, Austin McNicholas. So I was like, hey, I know where Chilliwack is now. And then Zach Benson comes in, and then we talk with Danny Gare often, the great alumni who's from BC, is from the same area. Yep. So I've learned a lot about the geography of BC in the last couple of years because of Chilliwack kind of putting everything on the map.
Nice. And don't forget the great band Chilliwack. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Marty. Check it out.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to check it out. Yeah.
Google Chilliwack.
Fly at Night. It's one of the great Hockey Night in Canada openings of all time. They use that song. Check it out. You'll thank me later. Hey, we haven't had you on for a while. I want to get your take on this. The state of Canadian goaltending right now. If there was an Olympics this year, I don't know who would be the number one guy. There's not a Waugh, there's not a Brodeur, there's not a Luongo, there's not a Marty Biron. What is going on? Because you look down south and they've got Hellebuck and Gibson and Demko. What's happening with Canadian goaltending right now?
Well, it's been like that for quite a few years, right? And you look around the league, is Adin Hill your best Canadian goaltender right now? Are you looking at Tristan Jarry or Stuart Skinner? Binnington seems to have fallen off a little bit. Some may even have suggested Devin Levi, who we have in Buffalo now because of his impact in the World Juniors, and maybe if he continues to develop, could be a factor. But I love the CHL. I love Major Junior in Canada. I played Major Junior in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. But I do feel that in 2023 and almost 2024 now, that especially for goaltenders, it's not enough time to develop, because by the time you're 20 years old, they're like, okay, we don't want you anymore. You got to turn pro. And as a goalie, you're not ready to go to the AHL. Some of them are, but most of them are not. And the ECHL is like, well, you're not going to make it to the NHL if you go there. Look at U.S. college. Most goalies are 20, 21, 22, even 23 years old that are playing U.S. college. Look at it in Europe. They take their time developing goaltenders. You don't jump right to the pros, or if you do, you may be in the third league or second league. Then you work your way to the top league. By the time you get to North America, you're maybe 24, 25 years old. Igor Shesterkin didn't come over until he was a little later. There's a lot of examples like that of goaltenders that came in later. They play a year in the AHL just to get ready, maybe a second year, and then they go to the NHL. Unfortunately, I feel like it's too rush in Canada right now, and it's affecting our Canadian goalies.
That's the best way. That's the best theory I've heard on it. Marty, thank you so much for that and for this interview. Appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. I love it. It's almost too short. Always too short when I come on, but I know you guys are busy, and we'll talk about the Vancouver Canucks again this year. I know, because they're going to have a great season. Any
longer and we'd have to pay you, and we don't have the budget for that, Marty.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks for the freebie.
No problem.